Hi, everybody. Welcome. We are now calling our show Self-Love Exodus Live. Self-Love Exodus Live. We're both on our journey, so we're both on our own self-love exodus. And we have been hosting workshops, monthly workshops for a while called Self-Love Exodus. So why not? I mean, that's what we discuss anyways. Like all the topics that we discuss, it's revealing about the Exodus, the journey, and it reflects the themes that we work through in our monthly workshops. Happy New Year! Hi! This will be our last live of 2020. And we will discuss topics all related to the healing journey. So today, what came up for both of us is heartbreaks will change your life. It will. Dramatically. And I know that's kind of like a backwards way of saying it because heartbreaks suck. Heartbreaks can really bring you depression, can really bring you down under. We're going to focus on how it can change your life. We're going to change the narrative for the better. And yeah, we're speaking this from experience. We're not just grabbing it out of thin air, right? So let's dive into that. So, Hallie.
Yes.
You really lit up when this came up. Actually, you're the one who blurted out. We're talking about dark energy, right? Because we all have experienced a really low point in our lives. We all have. And because we're at where we are, we get to reflect on that, on actually how much it was needed. And then you were like, heartbreaks will change your life. Because you're seeing how much it was able to, I'll let you share, but you can see what it actually did for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how has heartbreaks changed your life? Or is there a particular moment or an experience about it that really stands out to you when you think about it?
Well, in my experience and on my journey, I think one of the most transformative things about a heartbreak happens when you don't jump into a new relationship. Mm-hmm. So when you really give yourself space to be in your heartbreak and to be with your heartbreak and to look at yourself in that, because you're broken open is what's happened, right?
Yes.
So all of these places that you've kept or that have even been hidden from you, you haven't really known. When you get your heart broken, those are all blown out. So you have all of this potential to really see your pain, see your wounding, see where in your life you're not showing up for yourself. Mm-hmm. You get to see where in your potential you're not activated. Mm-hmm. You get to see all this stuff. A lot of seeing. And to just cope with the pain of being heartbroken, if you're not going into a new relationship where you're basically just glomming on to another person to pacify your pain, which stunts the growth, mm-hmm. then you're taking it all on mm-hmm. as your mission to heal. Mm-hmm. And in that, you're healing wounds that are so much older and so much deeper than the heartbreak in question that's up, Mm-hmm. And you're having to work with stuff that's ancient. That's ancient in your body, that's ancient in your lineage, that's ancient in your own life experience that may have even happened when you were a very small child, things like that.
So true.
And if you're doing that, heartbreak is the number one cause, I think, of people going on their self-love journeys.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I've been hearing very common. I know there could be some other things that people have gone through. For both of us, it absolutely actually guided us to where we needed to be.
Completely. It guided us to each other. It guided us to this work. Mm-hmm. It guided us to want to create safe spaces for other people to go into their self-love journeys, because there's no other way around a happy and fulfilled existence. If you don't have self-love,
yes,
you're not gonna be happy no matter who you're with.
Mm-hmm. I was just in a conversation with someone that follows me on social media, and I talk about self-love and I once in a while I'll bring this message about marrying myself, because that was an idea that I was very intrigued by, because I had basically been so committed to my past partners, like really being loyal and just effing committed, to the point where I was willing to sacrifice my own just to stay in.
Yeah.
Just to stay in no matter what. And some people can't really connect with that idea of marrying yourself, or, no, I saw that you got engaged. I was like, yeah, read the thing, because it's actually to myself, And there's this part where people might see it as like you're being self-centered. You're being completely selfish, which does not give what self-love what it's really about. Because so when we talk about like finally realizing that we need to figure out to make ourselves happy, because it's not creating a healthy relationship outside of ourselves. So no one is winning.
Yeah.
Or like, is it really something healthy and fulfilling when you might be very pleasing to somebody else, but then your soul is dying? Is that right? So there's a gap there. So I just wanted to bring that up, because this just came up for me through like a DM, and just how heartbreaks can really reveal what's missing. And we're not saying, oh yeah, you get to like just be an asshole to everybody while being selfish because you're doing self-love. No, it's you're actually creating more love within yourself, right? And you can see what kind of love you're able to have with other people. Love meaning being understanding. Love meaning like having space for people. Love meaning having a deeper understanding of people, so that you're not always so triggered and the fights are there, which is not love, right? So I just wanted to highlight that real quick. But yeah, heartbreak can do a lot when you're able to see.
Do you think, like, I feel like what heartbreak has done for me is it's really showed me the areas that I wasn't taking personal responsibility for myself.
Yeah.
And I was really wanting or needing someone else to do something for me, to fulfill me
so much,
for
right?
me.
Yeah, we crave it so much.
And this happens in friendships too, And
Yes.
I know that like, it's like if I have this thing with, like if I have plans with someone and they cancel, I feel grateful, because I'm like happy to just have more self-time, honestly, because
Same.
like self-time is kind of my favorite thing.
Yeah.
And there's so much now, and at this point in my life, and this was not always true,
Yes.
but there's so much now that like I fill my self-time in with. So to get extra of that is like a luxury. But I know that there are people in my life, and there have been people on my journey where if I have to cancel plans, that creates a trigger for them. So it's like, okay, like where are you expecting me to fill you in? Where
Yes.
because it's a very human thing that things come up and you have to rearrange schedules. So yeah, I think that's like wherever you're wanting someone else to like satisfy something in you, that's a place where you're not taking full responsibility. So that everything that someone brings to you is like a gift, a bonus, an extra, not something that you need to have in order to be okay.
Right. And that's the magic right there. Like realizing, wow, like I can do X, Y, and Z and feel okay. Right. And I love the example where you brought up of friendships where, on your end, you're okay when people cancel on you. You do not take it personally. And would you say, yeah, it's because, wow, you're healing yourself.
I'm actually a little happy. Like, I love my friends, but I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I get to whatever. Like,
right? You have been able to have the practices, have the tools, like have your thing to continue on, like making yourself feel happy and be okay with yourself. Process pain. And on the other end, if an individual is not experiencing the same thing as you, their pain might be just flared up because just of the action of people canceling, right? So you can see how when there is self-love that's non-existent in someone, or that there's not as much, it can cause friction. So you see there is a part where there's selfishness required to experience self-love, but then also it creates less tension.
It does,
Yeah.
because if you have to cancel a plan with me and I'm like, okay, cool, no problem, have a beautiful day, right? That's actually like giving you that's giving you love.
And I'm so grateful,
so that
I feel so bad sometimes, right?
We all feel bad when we have to cancel.
Bad, but when we have a friend, someone who has a space to not take it personally,
yes,
and they're actually okay, and they're
and
like
they have
flow.
grace with it, it shows the way, like, so if you have self-love where you're filling in your own cup and you take full responsibility for that, then you can love someone else by saying, like, that's fine.
Because
like,
you're understanding.
You don't have to feel guilty.
Not,
Go have a great day. Catch you when I catch you. You know? So you can really love others so much more when you're loving yourself.
Yes. And that's the magic. That's why it's beautiful. It's a win-win. It eventually becomes a win-win for the people who are in your life and for yourself. Yeah. So heartbreak. With my heartbreak, I always refer back to that because I needed to feel so broken, and that brokenness, that feeling of emptiness, and like I always talk about how my soul felt like it was dying. Like it forced me to pause, and all the things that you were mentioning about seeing, it forced me to see it because it was so painful. It was like my body, mind, body, spirit, and soul was screaming at me, saying, "Quinn, we cannot do this anymore." So it forces you to listen. And this is where people can really be stubborn and fight against that and jump into another relationship, which is understandable because that's all we know. You know?
Yeah.
And we hope that the next one is the one. We hope that once they show us some kindness, we feel like, ooh, okay, this is a kind person. This could be a good idea. And we just take that risk over and over and over again. And then so that was me. I didn't jump into relationship after relationship. I was just in long-term relationships where I jumped into I went into a short one, and then a long 5-year one, and then another 4-year one that dragged on for another couple of years. And then there was like the true like leaving. So recovering codependent here, recovering people pleasing here. So it's unfortunate, but also I can see what it did for me because it forced me to really look at what's not working. It really forced me to listen to the voices that do come through when I have my broken moments while I was in that relationship. Like, Quinn, you don't deserve this. Like, this is not good. Like, and we just don't listen to it. We don't listen to it until it hurts so much where and that's the thing with pain. It forces us to slow down, to see and to listen, and that's what I chose to do. That's what I chose to do. And that's our experiences, and I saw how I used that as fuel as well. I just could remember facing my addiction to other people's comfort, my ex's comfort, and I was able to see it and feel it, and knowing that, like, okay, let me just try waiting a little bit, because like you feel impulsive, right? Something triggered you, or maybe they texted you and you feel so like, oh, I really want to like text and like see them and come over and all of that. It's really finding an addiction. Like, if I could put it, it's an addiction, and we're learning to cope differently.
And that's why the space is so important, because you have to like build tolerance to not get the stimulus. It's like if you're recovering from alcohol addiction, you have to not have alcohol in your house. You have to not go to the bar. If you're recovering from attachment addiction, you have to see what it's like to not have an attachment. You have to live without an attachment so that you can grow the strength within yourself to like take care of yourself.
And so I just remember leeching onto my journal, like leeching onto these healthier ways of expressing myself. And then I found that, wow, I just comforted myself. Wow, I just saw myself. I just understood myself. I was just able to like be my own friend. So that's how it's changed my life, because it forced me to really see it and like, practice that tolerance and that discipline to be like, okay, let me go here. And I just remember being angry as well, because I was so angry with the ways that my past partner was being and like what he did to me, that I was like, you know what, I'm going to be better than this. I'm going to be such a confident person, because at the same time I saw how insecure I was. I saw how much I needed to be with him so that I felt seen and loved. And I kind of got mad at myself for that. Like, oh, this is so annoying. And so I just really poured that into the self-love work. And, we're here telling you now what we experienced from staying committed. I mean, yes, there's been setbacks, but we continue to fight for it, because we had that big realization in that heartbreak to I gotta get better than this. I cannot feel that way ever again. I felt like that. Wasn't that how you felt too? This feeling right here,
never again.
I cannot put myself in this situation ever. I can't afford it. It hurts too much.
Yeah.
It brought me down under too much. And so it's it can change your life when you choose it to be a way for you to learn new coping techniques, new healthier outlets, new ways of being with yourself. It opens up to a whole new world.
I think that there's something too about what you're saying about when you get to that point where you're I can't feel like this anymore. Because I know that one of my tendencies is that I will have a lot of compassion for the other person's suffering. And I won't validate my own suffering and how much suffering it creates to be unconditionally loving and caring and kind and holding of someone who doesn't have space for me, right? So where I'm not being taken care of emotionally, but I'm here for you because I have really a lot of compassion for your pain and suffering, one of the things that I had to learn how to do is to validate my own suffering.
Yes, self-validation.
Yeah.
It's huge, right? Looking for validation is huge.
And I had to be worthy enough, and I had to feel like I mattered enough to where it wasn't okay for me to be in chronic suffering anymore. And so if holding unconditional loving space for the person that's causing me chronic suffering is causing me chronic suffering, then I gotta not be in that position. I have to not be in that role. That's not a good role for me, because I'm here to be joyful.
Right. So there's a lot of self-reflection, as you can see, and self-awareness that opens up to other things that you can do experiencing that heartbreak. I remember going to YouTube, actually. I just needed to tap into something that will help me heal. So I remember looking up on YouTube how to heal from a broken heart. So if you're someone going through a heartbreak right now, where can you go to at least remind you or give you tools to best cope, right? Because that self-love practice, those healing practices is what needs to be your go-to, your everything. We're so used to going to other people, that's everything. And no, this is going to be my new everything. This is going to be my new thing.
Totally. And I think what's cool is it starts with these healing practices, and then once you start to get some strength back in your heart, then it goes into joy practices, play practices, fun practices, because you build your capacity to experience these higher vibrational emotions. So then you're filling your life with things that actually bring you joy. But first you kind of have to do that
address the pain.
You have to address the pain, and you have to really be in the pain and be with the pain consciously to heal from the pain. And then once you're kind of making progress in that, then you bring the fun in, and then your life is so filled with things that make you happy and bring joy into your life that it's you don't feel that need for another person to fulfill you anymore.
Yeah, it's that self-discovery. It's that self-love, and I'm hearing creativity in that too, right? Where you find things that, because you're witnessing yourself creating a moment with yourself. You're witnessing yourself creating, happiness. Creating this feeling of self-worthiness and empowerment, confidence. And you created that. And so I just remember my journey of all these ideas started coming because I was in the mode of creating my life to be better, to have more happiness, and the creativity started turning on. And I just heard that in a joyful part, because you get to play, you get to be creative, you actually get to bring your ideas out.
Yes.
Right? And you feel more confident about that.
So satisfying too.
You've been practicing it. It's those glimpses of hope that starts opening up, creativity and empoweredness, and just all of that.
And then connections come into your life, and if they're in alignment with with the self that you're here to become, which is someone who feels strong and happy and well and peaceful, then the connections will stay. And if they don't promote that, then they'll go, you know? And it's kind of like you just work on your own self, your own vibration, your own happiness. And then the connections are either going to align with that for a little moment or for longer periods of time, you know, and that's not really up to you to figure out or to try and hold on to or to try and keep, like, just like letting that be in its natural flow.
Yeah, and that is why healing is so important. That is why the self-love practice is so important, because that's going to make you feel more secure with yourself. Because when someone comes into your circle, I mean, there is, you know, your old tendencies might come back and be like, ooh, remember this feels good to like have someone in your life. Ooh, I hope they don't go away, right? You know, and so that, just know that those voices will be around for a while, and that's why we need to
maybe forever.
Continue. Yeah, maybe forever. But the way that you like process it is like different. When you see it and you're able to process it, go out. You know, like, okay, I see you. That's my past, and okay, I understand why that's there. Leave. You know.
Yes.
And you get to continue with your day. I want to talk about how your environment is so important while you're going through a heartbreak as well. Even when you start feeling better, environment is still so important, because there will be temptations lurking around. And you might be tempted as well to dive into that temptation. And we got to remember and ask ourselves, ooh, am I still being centered and true to myself? And environment can really keep you accountable and remind you of who the F you are. Remind you of the promise that you made to yourself, that vow, or like that thing that you said that you would never leave you, or like, I'm never going to do that again, you know, like, this is where people miss the signs, because, you know, as you're healing, there's going to be some things that you're unable to see yet until things are very clear within yourself. Like, so I just want to like bring that up a little bit, because, it's so important. Temptations are going to lurk, and if you're not mindful of the environment, or like, let's just say you have a coach or you're in a community, right? Those things can save you, because it's going to constantly remind you, or save space to even like discuss tricky situations.
Absolutely.
Like, that's right. Hold on, that's unhealthy.
Every choice, like every choice, like like everything you put into your body affects your vibe and like what potential choice you're going to make. It's kind of like if you've been eating like sugar all day, like you're not going to be as strong as if you've been eating like healthy, nourishing food. So then if you get tempted, you know, you're more potentially going to make a weaker choice based on what you've been putting in your body.
Yeah, really looking at
things like that. Like every choice really, really counts. The other thing I want to say is like some of the things that I've had to realize is that there are people in our lives who are loving us really well. I think we all have at least someone.
Hopefully, right?
Hopefully, who's loving us well.
We're here, you good, and that's why, again, the self-love work. Okay, anyway.
Yeah. Friend, a family member who just like shows up. Those are the people that we tend to like take for not even take for granted, but we don't even like necessarily really absorb and take in. Like, wow, this person is loving me so consistently.
Appreciation, gratitude, deep appreciation.
Deep appreciation, because that is ultimately like what we all deserve in our romantic relationships as well, is someone who's consistently loving us well. And so if we can be like extra mindful of where in our life we are getting that and extra grateful, then we're creating more of an opening for that to come in, because, you know, usually what happens is pain is what gets our attention. So we'll attract situations that invoke our wounding, because that's what we're alert to. But then we're in constant fight or flight. Then we're in trauma mode all the time. Then we can't progress in our purpose paths, you know? Then we can't pay our bills because we're so freaking traumatized that we can't work, or whatever it is.
Right.
So it's kind of like changing like where you're putting your attention, where you're putting your focus.
Yeah.
And really putting your focus on where you're being loved well.
Yeah. I feel like when we definitely can miss out on that, you know, when we are kind of being, I'm just seeing like clouds, like there's like fog. You know, you're not really able to see and appreciate. So this is why it kind of goes back to the very beginning, when we start to heal ourselves and focus on our self-love, we can actually be more loving towards other people, you know. And you kind of mentioned the granted. We can't take people for granted because we don't have the space to truly appreciate somebody because we're not appreciating ourselves, right? There's just too much going on we're unable to see, so it blocks the love flow from connecting, fulfilling relationships. So it all brings it back to, you know, seeing these painful moments, including heartbreak, as an opportunity to see and listen. And let's adjust some things, because the reason why you're experiencing pain, or at least this is what I tell myself, is because this has been something that's been neglected. Yeah. You know, this has been something that I chose not to see, or I was unaware that I have pain. Like, hello, like this can actually be healed. So, heartbreak can change your life if you're seeing it as an opportunity to see and listen and start to make some adjustments, right? Because something's not working. It's like red light. Like, this is not working. Emergency, code red. What are we going to do? You know, that's how I see it. You know how people go in the ER? Like, that's how I see it when we're having a heartbreak. It's like emergency ER time. Where do you need to go? Yeah. What do you need to do? Right? Yeah.
What needs to be sewn back on?
Yes. Yeah, I kind of like that connection with the hospital, right? Because physically, when we're in pain, it's obvious we're physically in pain. We got to go to the ER. We know exactly where we need to go. So what if you can do that for your emotional self? You know, whether you're hurt emotionally or you're overwhelmed, you know, mentally, you're like, there's too much. But we'll just focus on more of the emotional part, since we're talking about heartbreak. Heartbreak can change your life. Yeah. All right. So this is our last live for 2020. The next time we go live, it will be 2021. We're committed to the Exodus, the self-love Exodus journey. We hope that you join us. And any last words that you want to share wrapping up this year?
Yeah, we have a couple days left for completion, you know? Yeah. To complete anything that we want to complete, which includes using our voice to share anything that we want to share. I have a client who needs to delete someone before the year's end.
Right. Like, let's make some healthy choices. That's good for us.
Let's make some healthy choices and just like be in the mode of completion, and don't be in the rebirth yet, because we're not there yet. Like, wait till we're right there to be there, and like let this be the finishing phase.
Yeah, and we are releasing some new things that you will see in 2021, by the way, just want to say. So if you want to stay tuned on that, make sure you like Self-Love Exodus. That's our Facebook page where we will post updates and our monthly workshops. With that said, hi to everyone. We enjoy everyone that's been watching or joining in our lives this whole year. Thank you for sharing your input and what you've been going through, and just conversating, connecting with us. We hope to see you next year.
See you later.
All right. See ya.